All right, I've been noticing an increase in like feeds for prairie dogs in my YouTube feeds as pets coming out of living in cages in people's homes and doing that really cute Yahoo or Wahoo sound that they make. And I think people are becoming more interested in them having the prairie dog as a pet, kind of like what happened with the Harry Potter phase where people wanted pet owls. I think with prairie dogs, I have some experience with them, and I think it's a bad idea to consider them as pets. The prairie dog is a very social animal, social amongst its own kinds. They developed like communities where they make homes. They burrow into the ground and make various types of homes, and then they have a system of communicating with each other in this home area. And it takes a higher intelligence to keep the community like that together. Multiple prairie dogs living amongst each other, and they've learned ways to protect it and just help each other. They help each other out. But that's activity that's I found mostly in the west part of the country. There's different kinds of these burrowing animals. There's some that are like the largest ones I've seen. These I'd call them groundhogs, bigger than prairie dogs. Live in Oregon, make big holes, and then like they're around the airport in Boise, Idaho. There are these small little prairie dog things, and they're I don't know. I don't think they communicate with each other. There's just these little rodents that live amongst each other, and I never heard them making any kind of noise. They have they have a tendency to get run over by cars. If you drive around that airport of Boise, you'll see a lot of marks of them. I'm sure there's still many being collected. There's probably some being produced as I speak, because they reproduce really fast. Or there's just so many of them, just only around that airport too. It's so strange. The prairie dog's a little more widespread than the ground than the as in my experience, from what I've seen, the prairie dog's more widespread than the groundhog or those tiny little mole-like shrew prairie dog animals. The prairie dog I've seen, it's at least extends from, in my experience, extends in the let me think, the Rocky. I know they're on the east side of the Rocky Mountains, from North Dakota to as far south as Texas. I've seen them in Lubbock, Texas. Okay, and they have different families within the prairie dog, spread out across these distances. I've seen them in New Mexico. I've seen the holes at least. Sometimes they might get eradicated with the holes left behind. A lot of people aren't too fond of the kind of holes and the amount of holes that are dug by these prairie dogs. You don't see the prairie dogs in Wisconsin. You don't see them east of the Mississippi River. I don't think they learn to swim across the Mississippi. They're not very good swimmers in general. They're burrowers, and they need a lot of dry grounds. I think they have a preference for drier grounds to live in, so that their holes can maintain their structure. Kind of like us humans who live in the desert of the Southwest make clay homes, or make dirt homes out of sod bricks that last for years and years because there's so little rain. I've seen some old structures in New Mexico So the area needs to stay dry. That's the preference for these prairie dogs. And I've noticed the real prairie dogs will let out that kick 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 sound when danger approaches. When I'm bicycling close to their communal holes, near passing by, one will just get close into the hole, holding its head just above enough to see me, and just sit there and go kick 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 and make that warning sound. I've had that happen, yeah, just throughout the dry area west of the Rocky Mountains. They're very communicative, but for some families of prairie dogs, that's all I heard. After I go past, I hear nothing else. They make no other sound. And I've seen that in Lubbock, Texas. I've seen that in North Dakota. That only sound is to warn the other prairie dogs of the dangers approaching. The kick, 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 and they all take cover. The ones further away maybe watch from a distance, stand up on their hind legs, watch from a distance. If I get close enough, then they'll run for a hole. And it could be several. Yeah, as I'm going down through their communities, the closest ones make the sound, and then when I get too close, then they be quiet and go deep into their holes. And then the ones further away start making their noises as I approach them. But one type of prairie dog, like a particular family, stood out to me. When I was in Denver, Colorado, there were these prairie dogs that would do the kick, kick, kick. And when I passed, then I start hearing this, wahoo, wahoo. I'm like, what? I've never heard that anywhere else besides around the Denver area. Denver, Colorado. They developed this response to alert everybody that the danger has passed. Whereas the ones outside of the Denver area, east or north or south, they just stay silent. They just kind of maybe let the other brothers and sisters and cousins and friends find out on their own if danger has passed. But in Denver, they'll actually wahoo, letting the others know, and they'll do the little raise of the paws and then drop down, wahoo. And then I'm like, what? I feel like I'm being taunted. So I turn back around, and then I hear that kick, 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 kick. And it's their communication between each other. They're not taunting me, but it is a little insulting. It's insulting to be kick, 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 kick as I'm approaching. It's a little insulting. And then also when I'm leaving, then I start hearing the wahoo. And it's kind of, it feels insulting, but it's in a cute way when it happens. And I've noticed that as I was bicycling through different areas, there's plots of lands that are abandoned but taken over by prairie dogs. In the city, there's sometimes plots of lands that go unused, and then prairie dogs discover them. Kind of like homeless people discover old buildings and start living around them. They take them over. But the prairie dogs' environments have to be pretty specific. They can't be soggy. They can't be too dry. They have to be just dry enough, just kind of wet enough, have the right vegetation for them to develop their communities. But further, to have a community where they'll wahoo is very specific, and in my experience I find them around the Denver area. So to take them out of that environment and put them in cages in people's homes to use them as pets, and I think it's those types of prairie dogs that they're gathering as pets, maybe trapping them around the Denver area, because I don't see how people would be getting these types of prairie dogs at YAHOO out of Lubbock, Texas, or out of anywhere in North Dakota. I think they're a very specific family out of the Denver region. But that's just my experience. Well, from what I've heard, observed with the prairie dog activity. There could be some information about them that I just don't know. But I don't think it's right to take them out of their natural environments just to serve as caged pets. It's really it's really unfortunate to see that get popular. It's cute. So people are getting thousands and thousands of views just recording their prairie dogs going wahoo, but it's a wahoo, and it makes them sound like they enjoy being caged. I think it's a wahoo for the wrong reasons, or at least that it's not the original way that the prairie dogs developed that wahoo language. It was to let the others know that danger has passed.